everyone, and welcome back to the Fairway to Retail Success. I'm your host, Justine Gray, the AGM's Director of Membership and Education. Today, I'm joined by Jason Loomis, the Executive Director at Great River Golf Club in Milford, Connecticut, and the PGA of America's 2024 National Merchandiser of the Year for Public Facilities. Jason has an impressive background in golf retail, having worked at renowned clubs including Ocean Reef Club, Sleepy Hollow Country Club, and New Haven Country Club. Since taking the reins at Great River, he's transformed the club from a struggling daily fee operation to a thriving university golf course with an award-winning retail operation. Leveraging innovative inventory control, strategic promotions, and social media-driven sales growth. Jason, thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited for this conversation.
My pleasure. Happy to help you guys get your podcast off the ground.
Terrific. So I know I mentioned a little bit of your background there, but can you take us a little bit more through your journey in golf, your career? How did you get started and what kind of led you to Great River Golf Club?
Ooh, that's a loaded question, and I could take up most of your time answering that one, but I'll keep it as short and sweet as I can because it's a little different than probably most people did it. I played golf growing up, like where I grew up in Colchester, Connecticut. Like it had like 9 holes, a public course that I played with my dad. But then when I was like a junior, it was like typical to drop me off junior camps there. But it was really just like my third sport held me over from when baseball season ended and before football season started. Didn't play that much in high school. And then after high school, I got more into it and then started getting that golf bug we all talk about. So I really started working on and practicing my game and then made a kind of career choice around like 24 and went back to school, went to this place called Kaiser University. It's now in West Palm Beach, Florida, and I got like bachelor's there of golf management. And knowing that I had to play catch up, given my age, I started doing the north south. And I already had a job at a small little private club outside of Hartford called Glastonbury Hills. So I do the summers up there to start, and then I was lucky that one of the bursar at the university had connections at the Ocean Reef Club, and I already had family in Key Largo, so I was like, oh, home run, not knowing of that place and how awesome and crazy that place is. But yeah, so I started doing north south that way, then gaining that experience working for those clubs, transitioned into then clubs like Sleepy Hollow, New Haven Country Club, and Sleepy Hollow in the north. And then from Ocean Reef, I went right into a place called Card Sound Golf Club. It's actually a private club inside of a private club at Ocean Reef, which is a whole nother monster, but amazing experience. And how I got to Great River, it's interesting. My wife was somewhat in the business, more on the food and beverage side, and she got the assistant general manager's job at Quaker Ridge Golf Club in Scarsdale, New York. So we moved to that area. So we were landlocked, and my friend Justin got the head pro job at Ridgewood Country Club in Danbury, Connecticut. So I left Sleepy Hollow, went over there, helped him out for a couple of years, and then the Great River job came up. And anyone listening to this in the Northeast and you up Ulster will know that like it is a very competitive market, especially for the private club business. So when a head pro job comes open, you're going against some of the biggest clubs in the nation trying to fight for those jobs. And Great River came open. I wasn't really interested in it more because again, I knew the club, right? I knew it was one of the best golf courses in Connecticut, but I still knew it was like that public kind of course and really didn't think too much of it. But one of my old mentors and boss, Bill Wallace from New Haven, he's the one that said, "Hey, just go there and talk to them, check it out. Like they're trying to redo the whole place. They need someone to help them do." So I did. I went, I talked to them, still on the fence. But then again, like I said, them being landlocked, I was like, you know what, the bones of this place were amazing. So it's like, I'll jump in here. I'll just try it. And maybe it's a springboard job and maybe it leads to something else. And now it's been 6 years and we've really taken this place to a new level.
Awesome. And I like that you touched on doing the north-south situation of going from Florida to the Northeast, which is so unique to us on the East Coast. And of course, it has its positives. There's a lot of great things that come with the experience of doing that, but there's also challenges associated with that of moving every 6 months, not having a permanent home. And I know it just gets tougher for folks year over year. It's not necessarily sustainable forever to do that, but it does come with some unique positives of getting more experience, getting to see more places and meet more people and all that.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, it was what I knew, like knowing again now, because by the time I finished school, I was like 26, 27. So I was like, all right,
Mhm.
like I said, I had to expedite this career path pretty quickly. Yeah, you learn quick, like the first years moving down south, it's like you got everything you own packed in the car. And I did it for
Yes.
7 years. By the seventh year, like there's barely anything in my car. You're not even unpacking half of it. You're just like, I just know in a couple months I got to do it again. But
Yes.
no, it was great. And you get to play golf year round. You just get a few
Hmm.
more gray hairs from it because you just go from busy season to busy season. So
Yes, busy season to busy season. It's fun when you're in your 20s, maybe, but for
absolutely.
sustainable, it's a little tough lifestyle. But yes. So, looking at those experience you had at some of those great places like Sleepy Hollow, like Ocean Reef, how did they shape your approach to retail specifically when you came to Great River? Were there any things that maybe you did or saw at those other clubs that you wanted to have part of your retail operation at Great River?
Yeah, they all, every place you work for, I think helps mold who you ultimately become as a professional. But places like Ocean Reef and Sleepy Hollow are just massive golf operations. Ocean Reef's the biggest one I ever seen just from the volume, just how busy the place is and how much they do in sales. But I say they are, when I was there with Scott Kirkwood and Tracy Stearns, and they are just like poster childs for the AGM, right? They, I mean, from displays to promotions to how often they're changing the shop to you name it. Like they are just the ABCs retail. So just getting to be in their presence and learn what you can from them in that fast-paced environment really helped set the tone for definitely visual presentation and communication and sales. And Scott was very big on the golf shop. But then, like when I got to Sleepy Hollow, again, another busy place, I learned a lot more from Dave, probably about the operations side of it and the financials. Like Dave was a super smart guy, like unbelievably smart. I think he went to school for like nuclear engineering or something. And but so he had a policy and procedure for everything you could possibly think of, from the golf shop to the outside operation, you name it, like detailed. This is how we do things, checklists every day. And then I'd always pick his brain about the financials. And he would just show us how important it was to look over the closing report, weekly reports, monthly reports, every quarter, inventory. So he kind of opened my eyes to the whole real, like what I call like the business side of it, right?
Mm,
Not that Reef didn't, but I was also very young too when I was started at Ocean Reef, so I didn't get to, you had to
sure.
learn the basics of merchandising first before you got into the operations and the financials. And then it was very unique when I went to New Haven Country Club. Their golf shop, by 10 by 24, super small. That's how they were. The club's built in like 1898. Like they didn't really have much room for the merchandise there. And Bill is probably, still is probably the most creative person I ever met. And it was a different perspective working and learning for him, because even though he owned the shop, it wasn't like, hey, I'm there to make a bunch of money. He really used the shop as a benefit to the membership. Then he built like that loyalty from those members that all came to him, from corporate sales, from their own businesses, to everything. That small little shop did some volume, and it was different to have that smaller size club, and you could see how much the shop can be an added benefit to the membership. Yeah, it's taking probably all those parts from those three clubs and designing when I got here, from the visuals to
Sure.
get right through the door, the policies, procedures, everything. And
Mhm.
then again, I don't own the shop here, still owned by the university, but still trying to make it that first spot that all our members and guests and Sacred Heart affiliates think to come for any golf needs or even further.
Absolutely. I liked how you touched on it. There's that front facing, what you might see when you're a young assistant working in the shop, the displays and all that. And then there's an entire backside of the business, the financials, the profitability, and all that, as well as what you mentioned about corporate sales. I find where we're at now in golf and retail, I find the things that happen outside of the four walls of the golf shop the most interesting, where you don't need that physical retail space when there are things like microsites and even outing gifting and corporate gifts for members. There's so much you can do without making those inventory investments now, which is really cool.
Yeah, and I loved how they come to like organically, right? Not like
Mhm.
out there promoting it. It's building those relationships that they come in. It starts with, hey, me and a couple golf buddies we're having a class reunion. Can you help us? Sure, no problem. You get some shirts, and then next thing you know, you're like, hey, my insurance company's doing the big outing. It's just, yeah, it's
Mhm.
from those relationships. It wasn't your marketing or promotion. You
Right.
can do. We don't really do it too much, but
Mhm.
it's definitely out there.
Yes. Yes. So What does the recognition of being named the 2024 PGA of America's National Merchandiser of the Year for Public Facilities mean to you and your team at Great River? What did that recognition really feel like an achievement for you all?
Yeah, for me personally, it was very humbling, and it really felt good because, like I said, going those north and south, putting in all those long hours, long nights, long weeks, busy season to busy season, and just knowing that you're always doing the right thing, investing your time in educational stuff, joining associations, and just paying attention at your job. That it all worked out, but it's also really motivated me since too to really just keep pushing and just knowing that like those hard work and just going after what you love and doing that like almost anything's possible. I would say as a team it means everything. The same thing like when I got here, it was like the club wasn't in that great of shape. It felt definitely more like a transient public course than what it is this high level university course. We have over 300 members and pretty much all our play is from university play and our membership. And it was a lot of work for everyone involved for this small little club in Milford, Connecticut that no one's really heard of to win this award over some nationally big name public facilities. It was quite an accomplishment, and we definitely celebrated to the best of our ability.
Terrific. And what is the name of the university that you're there with in case any of our listeners aren't as familiar with the setup you have?
Yeah, so it's owned by Sacred Heart University. They bought the course in 2015. 2016 was their first year operating it. And like they said, if you ever seen it, it's a very private Catholic university. So everything on campus is very nice. And they wanted this to be a representation, extension of their campus. But their university, they really know how to run a golf course or
Sure.
anything like that. So they knew it needed to be revamped. And that's, like I said, my friend, old boss, Bill, knew that because he's not too far from me down here now. And that's why he's like, go talk to him. Like, it's a great opportunity in disguise. And he was right.
Terrific. So another thing I wanted to touch on is how you conduct your hard good inventory counts. I know you decided to implement a more weekly cycle counting that really had a great impact on reducing your shrinkage immensely. Can you talk us through how you implemented that change and how you got your staff on board to such an addition of inventory counting?
Yeah, it was actually low hanging fruit. So when I was getting there looking at past numbers, and it's just you look at these losses, I was like 16% or so. I'm like, wow, what I mean? That's not good. And then just peeling back the layers, and you find out like, okay, a lot of it comes from hard goods. Mostly, some of it could be SKUs run up wrong. I'd say majority of it came from demos and rentals. Just no one's just tracking it correctly, and then they were only doing inventory like on the annual. So like they never knew if things were coming up missing, if there was any theft or whatever the issue might be, bad receiving and
Mhm.
inventory controls. But so it's as simple as we just make obviously your POS can print you out a report what you got on hand for the stock items. And then as we get any demos rentals, we just make an Excel sheet. And it was once a week. Now it's twice a week. And now we do it on Thursdays and Mondays. Because again, the quicker it is, and more so for the demos, we only do stock items on Monday. But demos we do Thursday and Monday because they're still, even though we've gotten so much better at it, it's still problematic. But now when you do it on those windows, it only takes 10 minutes. Like it really does not take long, as long as there's no problem. But like you go through it, and the same thing, if you're missing something, now you have a 3 to 4 day span. People are like, oh yeah, I know who has it. So we even probably reduce that number further. But getting them on board, it was you just showing them that it was important. Hey, guess what? This is what we do on Thursdays and Mondays now. Once the outing goes out, everybody goes in and does it. Like I said, the stock takes a little bit longer. We do balls monthly, just clubs.
Okay.
We do Monday. So again, so it doesn't take that long. You can find anything out of line real quick, and
Right.
you can usually make your adjustment.
Yeah, that's a great task to do on when a Monday outing goes out and keep the assistant pros busy with a accounting task. And I think that's great because you're able to catch any issues much quicker and much easier than when you are maybe doing your big whole shop count. That could really slow you down and really isolating out the hard goods. That seems like a really great category that you can catch any issues or any problems while it's fresh in everyone's mind weekly of where things are, which I think is terrific.
Yeah. Yeah. Our other two, I'm sure the same at most golf clubs. If you looked up, like, where do you have the most? A lot, it was gloves and socks. Okay. We have so many gloves and socks. And the number wasn't that big. And I'm like, all right, it might not even be worth the manpower to keep these in line as much. But
For sure. So I know one of your fastest growing segments of your golf shop is your ladies business, your ladies apparel. And this is a question we get a ton from our AGM members that they struggle with their ladies, whether it's figuring out what to buy, figuring out what their ladies, their members like, and seeing that sell through and success in that category. Folks seem to struggle with. What strategies have you found that have really helped drive that growth? Any keys, any ideas you might have around developing a better, stronger ladies apparel business?
yeah, for all your listeners, unfortunately, I still don't have those answers. We still just try our best to. We're trying to figure out what they want, what's going to sell, and some years we do well, and some years it's a swing and a miss. But the biggest thing for our success was really just when I hired our like female ladies coordinator, professional
Mm,
manager. When I got, again, Great River, for those who don't know about the course, it is very hard. It is one of the highest rated courses in the state for its difficulty. So like we don't get a lot of juniors, and we definitely don't get a lot of ladies because there's a lot of force carries. There's penalty area on every hole except for the 11th hole. Like it's tough. So I saw that there was only like two or three really women playing here, and there was no programming for them. I started like a beginners program, something that we were very successful at New Haven Country Club doing. So I basically just stole Bill's program, brought it to Great River, and took off pretty well, especially in the light of it was 21, so right after COVID, and I got it going pretty good. And then it plateaus a little bit, and it was just fate that Amanda came looking for just a job. She was working already as a sales rep for Cobra, and I was like, "Yeah, you can help out in the shop, but I got a better opportunity for you too, because she played D1 golf, so I know she knows the game." And she took it over, and her energy, enthusiasm, and obviously, what helps for women to feel more comfortable and click with her. And we went from 15 to 20 a week to 30 to 50, and just having that many more people on property really helped. So then they were looking for stuff, so we
right,
doubled down on how much we were bringing in. And yeah,
right.
no, it's still probably one of our best growing areas. Do we blow through it all? Unfortunately not, but we do our best to move through it. And again, so many more events, they got more pro shop credit now, all those little things tie in.
Yes, that certainly would all add up. And one thing I've heard that I think aligns with what you implemented is making the ladies feel comfortable at your facility. So whether that's with more beginner programming and opportunities for them, just making them feel more comfortable and supported overall, there they'll be more likely to be comfortable enough to shop in the shop and pick out an outfit, what have you. So I think that's great, especially getting maybe newer golfers involved.
Yeah, and now that you start having the program, it helped our membership draw too. So now we're getting more families because they're like, oh, I can join their Thursday. And actually, we actually have our first ladies happy hour in 3 weeks to discuss setting up like 18 hole and 9 hole leagues. Because really, all we offer is that like beginner 4 hole, really hit and giggle type thing. But now we're attracting some more serious golfers that want to have an official. So hopefully that growth keeps going for our ladies programming.
Terrific, yes. So, another initiative I know you have at your facility is that no merchandise celebrates a birthday, which I think is a terrific saying. It's something I certainly believe in. Can you elaborate on your approach to this and your product life cycle management around that?
Yeah, I wish I could say I created it. I honestly heard that. I believe it was an AGM presentation at the PGA show, probably in 20, oh, I think it was before COVID or right after it. And you probably know her. I believe her name's Leah. She used to work at Baltusrol. I think she was right before you got there.
Leah
And she was the
Turner.
one that, yeah, she's the one that was presenting that. I'm like, that is the coolest thing ever. And she also talked about how to mark down. So again, I can't take the credit for it, but I just heard it and I loved it. And I love the idea of it because then it also challenges your staff, right? Yeah, markdowns and how you do it. And when they get to the end of the life cycle, we do like a big end of year sale. But most of the stuff we're because we owned by a university, so we do a fundraiser for every team:
Hmm.
volleyball, basketball, baseball, football. So we have Mondays pretty much full with outings. May through almost October. When they're on their last string, it's usually the sales rack that's basically what we paid for it, maybe even less. And yeah, we turned through it pretty quick. We also have 2,000 square feet, so it's very hard because it's just open square feet too. So
Mm.
it's to make this shop feel full. It takes a lot of product. Your time, ball show. When you're in the Northeast, like you have that short golf window. You're really getting season May through September. You get a little bit
Yes.
on the shoulders, but we're literally closed for 2 months, so it's a tough one. A lot of our members are gone by Christmas, so it's maximizing
Right.
those sales and those markdowns correctly. But
For sure.
that initiative is going to be under the gun this year because I think it was at the Merchandise of the Year conference I heard last year. I heard someone saying that in the same boat we are. Our members got so good at waiting for our promotions that like, hey, no one's really buying things at full
Hmm.
rack rate anymore. We're just going to do two massive sales this year. See how it goes. Fingers crossed it works out. We'll still do promotions based on if there's anything good coming through vendors, but not just, oh, Memorial Day sale, this weekend, oh, come in for this. So we're just going to do a 4th of July weekend blowout, and then same thing like Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and really just wrap it up from there. So that, like I said, that initiative is going to be under the gun this year.
Yes, have to
Hopefully, we
keep
build
them.
enough excitement for those two sales that we just clear
Yes.
most of it out.
Yes, keep them on their toes. So, another thing I know you've had success with is your use of social media, developing content there, and expanding beyond your local customer base to be shipping merchandise across the country, which I think is really cool. And again, looking
Mhm.
outside of your four walls. Can you tell us a little bit about that programming and how the social media and marketing use has helped you reach folks who aren't coming into the shop to see you every day?
Yeah, so we don't do a ton, but we definitely grew that side of the business. But most of it comes to our alumni, right?
Hmm.
So again, there's so many because we're affiliated with Sacred Heart, right? And there's so many obviously Sacred Heart alumni across the country, and they're pegged into whatever Sacred Hearts. Some of them obviously follow us,
Sure.
and so like when we're putting out new product, right, and they see it, so those are the people that are really reaching out to us. Obviously, like I said before, people, no one that not that many people really heard of Great River, and they're like, oh, someone in Texas is looking for a Great River hat or something. But no, so it's that alumni that we really attract with it. And one of my assistants, who actually was a Sacred Heart alumni, he really took that and ran with it. And I wish I could say we were still growing on it, but for him in his career, he moved on to a great job in New York, and I still haven't really found someone to replace him to keep that momentum going. But it's definitely on our list of items to keep expanding on.
So, do you carry Sacred Heart logo goods in your shop as well, or is there a Great River separate logo as well in
Yep.
use?
So there's a golf course logo. It still ties into them. So they're the Sacred Heart Pioneers. Our logo is it's like a little pioneer. You probably can't see it on my thing. So it's a pioneer holding like a golf
Okay.
flag. So that's the golf course logo. But yes, we do also carry their athletic logo. We
Hmm.
would do some mixed branding, mostly like head covers and hats and
Mhm.
things like that. But I would say of our play, I would say Sacred Heart plays probably like 25% of it, and then most of it's the other members. So most of the members don't have affiliation to the university, so I don't want Sacred Heart gear.
That's great. That's, I think, another logo. That's another just more opportunities.
Yeah, like I said, it's we get to. I think where we found success, especially as growing, is we get to play three different markets to a certain degree. You have the alumni and the every and all the Sacred Heart affiliates from staff and
Mm.
students.
Sure.
Then we have the membership, and then we still do some public play. We call it like member for a day. It's a big
Mm.
package. They come in for a caddy lunch, they get a tea gift and everything. So we get to play those three markets. And so
Terrific. Yeah, that's great. Looking ahead, what are some of the key retail trends or things you're really excited about to evolve your merchandising strategy at Great River coming up in the next year or so?
yeah, that's always a big conversation at our merchandise of the year conferences, right? It's trends. Everyone wants to know what trends. For me, even though I'm not like a big social media or YouTube like golf kind of guy, I still watch a lot of it just to see. what kind of narrative they're spinning about the game and equipment and apparel and seeing what they're watching. Because I do feel that's your kind of next wave of members are going to be members at our clubs. And so it's good to know what they're interested in. I think it's still pretty popular now, but I think that kind of like leisure, whatever's really comfortable is the big hit right now, especially with that younger generation. I was actually at the range the other day because it just opened, and you look down and everyone's in that borderline athletic wear slash golf wear. And it's just like, okay, this is what they want right now. But just keeping an eye again on the social media, seeing what's coming out, watching the tour, what are they wearing? They all tie in. But I think those really, like I said, there's such a big market with those. We all know those big influencers. So just keeping an eye on them and seeing what they're wearing and doing.
Absolutely. It all trickles down eventually. Even if
Yeah.
golf is a little bit of a slower adapter, it does trickle down. And for aspiring golf professionals or merchandisers that are maybe getting started in the industry or trying to take next steps in their career, what advice might you give to them, whether it's overall in their golf career, golf professional careers, or specific to retail as well?
Yeah, retail, I'd say to be successful, right? You got to know your numbers, right? You got to know the business side of it. You got to know your market, who are your members. For us, we're lucky that we found growth and hey, no one's tapping into the Sacred Heart affiliates or alumni. Know your members, know your, what they're interested in. And then you always got to keep the shop looking good and fresh, especially private club more so because you get the same customers. So like you got to keep that as looking different and fresh when every time they come in there. But I would think, yeah, just young, aspiring pros and merchandisers. It's really obviously just pay attention to the things that are going on. You might be at a really good club and they might do a lot of good things now. So just take note of what they're doing and then really, like I said, putting that time in for education. If it's for me, like the AGM was a great help, especially if you want to learn the numbers. You guys, your certification process, lazy, that couldn't be any simpler for you to understand it. You guys do a great job with that. And then just like I said, just keeping up to date with the clubs in your area, the big clubs. You can follow most of them on social media to see what they're buying, seeing what they're doing. Just pay attention, and you'll be surprised how much success will come your way. I don't really consider myself a super creative person, but I do always look for what's out there, what's going on, and those doing education events, if it's webinars or podcasts, and those are the where you can get your inspiration from. And so I think just follow what you're passionate about, keep your ear to it, and just go after it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. And we have much more at our disposal these days of being able to listen to a podcast or tune in while we're doing something else, listen, or keeping up with social media. We have it more at our fingertips than even 5 years ago, what
yeah.
was available, which is great.
It's almost too much. There's like sometimes, especially even around the PGA show, you get so
Yes.
for me because I'm
Mhm.
like an education junkie. Like when I go to the show, like that's basically most of my time. I give the floor a few hours, but for the most of it, it's just like educational things. And sometimes it's too much, and you're like, oh man, I can't go to this one. Which one am I going to do? Like,
Sure.
it's fun.
Absolutely.
But it's been a good ride, and I'm so thankful again to work for people like Scott and Bill and Dave Young and even Justin at Ridgewood. Just all such great creative. I think every single one of them won a merchandiser award. Obviously, Scott won a national award when I was yeah. So I'm lucky in the retail world, I've had some great mentors, and I guess that would be another tidbit of advice for anyone. I mean, know who's doing it very well, what you want to do, and even if you don't work for them, go pick their ear. We always have open doors. I'm sure you get a lot of people yourself doing all these AGM that are reaching out to you with questions and stuff. And it's great. You know what I mean? That's the joy of our business. We don't take it to the grave with us. We're always happy to share it.
Exactly. Yes, yes. And that's what we're all about at the AGM, sharing, helping everyone, and for everyone's success.
Mhm.
Absolutely. This has been such a wonderful conversation. Thank you, Jason, for joining us. It's been great to learn a little bit more about you and about your operation at Great River. I think it's really cool, the relationship with the university and having that alumni market and logo and all that is really makes for a unique retail operation. So thank you.
Yeah, and thank you and everyone at the AGM for all that you do for all the golf professionals and merchandisers out there. Like I said, you guys, I mean, you make it easy for people like me. Again, not that creative. Like that calendar is probably like one of my favorite times of year when I get it because there's just so many great displays. So they just gets the balls and the gears rolling. And like I said, you have all these promotions and dates and things to harp on. Again, you guys make it easy for us. So thank you and everyone at the AGM for all your hard work.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of the Fairway to Retail Success. We appreciate you taking some time to tune in to learn some more retail insights, and we look forward to seeing you again in an upcoming episode. Take care, everyone.